Salute to you all. The brave never fall. There has always been a part of me that has wanted to dive into and explore people and the dynamics of people, individuals, the people that are no longer with us, the people that are currently here, the people who are about to leave. There are people we all know that are getting up in age and they have far less days ahead of them than they do behind them. And it's sad to think about all the people that have come and gone on this planet, and each person had something to contribute. As individuals, we have to think about ourselves. I preach all the time on The Brave Never Fall that we think about self-love and who we are now. Not who we were, not what we're going to be, but who we are right now. And being an empath, being a person of compassion, if you can view yourself in that way, with empathy and compassion, from the outside looking in, but looking at yourself, you view yourself as a stranger. You learn all types of things about yourself. And it makes it easier when you can examine yourself with honesty and you trust that the things that you're viewing are things that may or may not need to be focal points for you to work on. The flaws that you see, if you see them, other people see them as well. They may not see them as big as you because we are always our own biggest critics in life. No one will ever tell you that you're struggling as much as you would tell yourself that you're struggling. No one ever will look at you and say you're as ugly as you believe you're ugly, or you're beautiful as you believe you're beautiful. It swings both ways. Confidence, that arrogance that we have as people, the ego, it gets in the way. And I have always looked at people as people. I've always looked at people as individuals. I have never, ever judged anyone based on their appearance, on their cultural background, their financial situations, what class system they are, what country they're from. It really doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is what's behind those eyeballs. Because that's the most interesting part. It's what is internal in everyone. Anybody can put on a mask. And we essentially, as human beings, as individuals, wear masks every single day. The mask is us hiding who we are, who we truly are. We smile when we don't want to smile. We frown when we're upset. And our face contorts to whatever mood that we're in. It's a mask. It's a mask to cover the person that who you really are. And who you really are is the soul. That is what's driving the vessel. So we just have a suit. And we have a symbiotic relationship, essentially, between our soul and our body. Me and my son were really big Marvel Venom fans. And Venom, in his origins, attached to Spider-Man's suit and turns Spider-Man into something else. And eventually Venom turns into his own thing. But Venom is a symbiote. And symbiotes need a host, and your soul needs a host. And it had me thinking about that the soul and the body has a symbiotic relationship, and they need to be balanced. Your mind, your heart, your body, and your soul, they're all in a symbiotic relationship. And it's as diverse and as complex as this world having a symbiotic relationship to the sun, and the sun having a symbiotic relationship to the galaxy, and the galaxy having a symbiotic relationship to the universe. These are things that are reoccurring themes in every person's life. Now let's break it down to a simpler level. The mindset of being in a relationship with someone is that symbiotic relationship as well. Because not only are you in a symbiotic relationship with yourself, when you attach to any individual, it doesn't matter if someone's passing you on the bus or you're in a park, you're in the county library. The point is that anytime a person passes you, you are in an unofficial, quote unquote, symbiotic relationship with that person. You two have a moment in time that you share together. Now think about that. Time is transcendent, and you have a moment in transcendent time that you share with individuals that you don't even know. If you view it that way, you can start saying to yourself, that's powerful, even if it's in itself. With the Brave Never Fall, we dig in layers. We dig, and we dig, and we want to find out what it is that makes up anything in its deepest level and break it up in as many different smallest components we possibly can to see the bigger picture, piece by piece. And if you think about just the act of passing a stranger, think about how powerful that is. You are in a moment in time with someone you don't even know. And not only that, that's just the space. If you brush up against them, there's a physical touch with it. There's a deeper level than that. You actually physically come into contact with somebody else's symbiotic relationship that they have between their body and their soul. Now, some people might say, well, that's some hippie shit right there. It may be hippie shit, but it's not false. We can label things any which way we want as human beings. We can classify them based on culture, based on race, based on all these things. But at the end of the day, unless there's an individual out there that has cracked the code on human existence and consciousness, we don't know the deeper meanings of what a human being's soul really does when playing a part with the body, and how that interaction extends to another person, 20 people, 100, 1,000, 1,000,000 people, and how that connection interacts with the past and how it interacts with the future. It's a lot of questions that goes into what human consciousness actually is. So that means we need value. And the value will come into what is the value you personally put on human life, not for other people, but for yourself first. That line of thinking will lead you to emotions and the value of those. Because we have to have emotion with anyone. You ever see someone that says, or not even says, you see people that look like they just truly appear that they're void of emotion, expressionless, basically automatons. They're just people that just don't have empathy or compassion, and they come off very cold and lifeless. And you say they don't have any emotions. Well, that's like saying that the colors black and white don't have any colors. That person does have emotion. The problem is that they may have been stripped of it, or has been so much emotion going on in that person's life that they can't control it anymore. And it causes them to have pretty much a breakdown or a shutdown. And their consciousness is a reflection of their emotional state. And usually that doesn't happen unless someone is out here in the world interacting with other people. I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but I'm talking in very general terms here. We all know how emotional we get from interacting with other people versus interacting with a place or a thing. Usually interacting with other people will elicit much more of an emotional response than most people. Now, we cannot say that that's not the case. There are plenty of people out there that are triggered by places and triggered by things. But most people are triggered by people, because that's the one thing we can look at. We can look in the eyes of another person who can identify and relate or not relate to what we're looking at in this other person. So these relationships that we have with other people are very important. But I think the mindlessness of it, not focusing on what is actually happening in every interaction you have with people, because it would be overwhelming if you did that. If you live in a big city and you just try to overanalyze every interaction you have with every single person, your brain will just be like, what are you doing? I'm going to shut down. I'm going to make you numb. You can't do this. This is an overload of sensory with emotion and with your heart, essentially. And your mind is going to suffer from that as well, because you're forced to think about other things. That's why empaths have such an emotional attachment to other people. I'm an empath, and that's one of the things I struggled with before I started learning how to control it and kind of kind of bring it down to a manageable level is that I cannot get so emotionally invested and attached to every single person that I talk to or that I meet. I have to be able to identify one important factor, and that's the value of each and every person that I meet. Valuing people can be both a cruel yet beautiful thing. When you value someone, it's based primarily on what you are as a person as far as value goes for yourself. So if you have a low self-esteem and you don't value who you are, and you don't value your morals, you don't have any foundation of positivity or any optimism or strength or powerful purpose in your life or any peace or joy, any of that, how can you possibly say that you are valuing another individual in a way that they perhaps would think that you're valuing them? And then there's another step, because what is that person thinking about their value for themselves, and how does that reflect back upon you to influence maybe what you're feeling in the first place? These are all very complex, dynamic relationship interconnections. Because again, we all have like this weird symbiotic relationship with this consciousness that's our soul that we really don't know much about, that governs and controls our minds and our bodies. And we have to take that aspect and interact with other people who are battling and struggling in life. And some people are thriving and enjoying life. And there's all that stuff in between. And we have to find out where we fit. So when you're valuing someone, how does that go into place? And are you judging someone instead of valuing them? Are you expecting and trying to control things out of people instead of valuing them? There's a huge dynamic. There's a huge chasm in between judging someone and valuing someone. A value doesn't always necessarily mean it's a good thing. You can value somebody that has very low integrity. You can undervalue someone that has very high integrity. You can look at someone and say, this person's right for me, and they're wrong for you. Because there's elements about that relationship that you don't understand. And one of them is control and projection and want and need, codependency. These are things that are self-inflicted upon ourselves about what we need, and we project it out into the world. And that starts at a young age. It's kind of something that we have to grow up with, because we have a codependent relationship with our parents to start with, regardless if you have them or not. If your family has gone through a divorce, or you have a family that is not in a place where it's a very loving environment and very cultivating when it comes to peace and joy, and you got to see a lot of hardships, that's going to influence you. It's going to have an effect on you one way or the other. Now, some people take that effect and they make it a negative effect by not doing anything and addressing the problems, and they cover it up and they say everything's fine. There's other people on the other end that take those things and say, this was my life. It was what it was. I'm going to do something that counteracts that. I'm going to do things that are positive. And that's kind of the route that I took. But it was a long, long road before I got to that awakening to know that that's where that's at. Because, again, there's all this stuff that happens in between. Unfortunately, we don't have control over who we meet every day. We can meet people that can influence our lives in a very bad way for a very long period of time. You can have this stretch where, like, for a month, you just keep running into people that are negative, that are pessimistic, that are going nowhere in life, and they're not aligned with your values and your morals and your foundation as a person. So those values, if you know who you are, and it's coming from a place of self-love, and you truly know who you are, and let's just say you don't know who you are, we still have some type of intuitive sense about ourselves to know what type of people we really want in our lives. We all want a version of people in our lives that we have envisioned. But sometimes we don't know how to cut through the butter and kind of just make, when you're preparing a meal and you're looking at a recipe, you have all the recipes there. The recipe's there, but you don't have all the ingredients. So we want things in life, but we don't have all of the shit that we need to actually make what we're trying to make. So what do? You say, I really want this, so I'm just going to substitute some things here and there. And that's what the problem is. The recipe says the recipe, stick with the recipe. Don't fill in the gaps with substitutes. Don't settle for something less. Put that recipe away and wait until the proper time to actually make that recipe when you have all the ingredients, all the tools, all the things that you need. That's when you make the recipe. Because otherwise you're going to get a generic, watered down version of something that you were craving. And it's just not going to be the same. You're going to get discouraged. And you're going to say, you know what? I should have just waited. And now I've eaten this thing. Basically, I made my cake and now I have to eat it. So that's when it's an important thing to think about, is that you want to be ready and understand yourself first before you can even try to understand other people. And valuing people is the first step, what I call the connection order. You want to understand people first. Once you understand certain people, they'll become your friends. And once you understand those friends, they'll become your partners in life. Life partners. Meaning a spouse or a lifelong friend. Or just some type of relationship you have with someone that brings you infinite value. But it comes from you first. The work has to be done with you first. And once you figure yourself out, you know what you want out of life. You say, I'm not going to compromise. I'm not going to do the generic watered down recipe. I'm going to do the one thing that I know I should do. And that's push forward no matter how lonely it gets, no matter how much solitude that I'm in, no matter how sad I get, no matter how envious I get of other people. I want to make sure that what I'm doing is something that is going to benefit me fully. Meaning I don't care to have relationships with people that aren't aligned with me. I don't have time to be aligned with people who are toxic, who are narcissistic, who are full of ego, or people that are underprepared to be in relationships to begin with. So when you focus on people, when it's time to focus on the people, you have to start understanding that every person in your life may not be the right person in your life for any role, regardless if it's a coworker, a friend, or a romantic relationship. If you know your values, you'll know this person is not good. This person is just not a good person. When this person is a decent person, they'll make a good friend, but they wouldn't make a good relationship. Or I can probably see that this person is a good person, a good friend, and would make a good romantic relationship. But there's an order that has to be put in place there. And there's a very good way of trying to understand these things, is that it doesn't matter if you're in a relationship with someone if you're not friends with them. If it's just romance and lust and money and what this person's doing for you in a codependent, neurotic way, that's not a healthy relationship. You skipped a couple steps. Because what you didn't see in that person is that this person may or may not have been a good person to begin with. And you jump the steps from understanding a person, understanding that there could be just a simple friendship first. Then the romantic aspect will play itself out naturally, not forcefully. Now, you may say if you're dating someone and you just getting to know them, this method still applies. It may be a little bit more fast-tracked, but that's the whole point, is that time is transcendent. You can't put time limits and labels and classifications on relationships. They develop naturally. And the people who don't allow them to develop naturally are the ones that always end up unhappy, because they're trying to force in what they believe their point in the relationship should have already been met. So there's people who want relationships. So they are just like anybody who's a good prospect. You're a good person, you're a good friend, let's get to a relationship. But you never got to explore the person as a person. What are the person's values? What are their morals? What are their family dynamics like? What are their financial situations like? What are their ambitions? What are their goals? What are their failures in life? That all has to be explored before you even get to the friendship phase. So let's say that this person passes all the friendship tests And you get to the friendship part of it, meaning you see that this person's a good person. They have good values and morals. They were raised properly. They have good relationships with their parents. Or if they didn't, they have overcome things in their life that has put things in the proper perspective where they can be a good, valuable asset to your life. Because again, if you know yourself, your goal is to make sure that you're not dropping the ball as far as your end of the relationship. Meaning you have to play your part as far as value goes for that person as well. Never invest in anyone that has not invested in you. Never invest in anyone that isn't invested in you. Ever. Value for value. If someone is looking at you with a specific value, relationships and connections work when there is something that can be traded in value. You wouldn't go to the supermarket and overpay for something that you really don't want. And relationships are the same way. You don't overinvest in a relationship that you don't believe is going to work, because it won't work. You both have to be aligned. And really the only way to get there in a friendship is that there's that stage of value of the person before that friendship phase. And what's great about human beings is that part of it actually doesn't happen very hard. It's a very natural thing. How many friends do you actually meet in real time that actually end up being your best friend? It's actually harder to find a best friend than it is to find a spouse. A lifelong, invested, value-aligned friend is very hard to find. And when you find them, you don't think, oh, I got to do everything in my power to keep this friend. I got to do everything in my power to force her. My friend didn't see me this week. When you ever see the relationships where you see a friend getting pissed off and butthurt about their friend not spending enough time with them, what does that feel like? Does it feel like a friendship or does it feel like a relationship? Ask yourself that. When there's a friend, two friends that are good friends, may not even be best friends, and one of those friends is like neurotic for their friend. They want to hang out with their friend all the time. They get jealous when their friend hangs out with their boyfriend or girlfriend. The person who's getting jealous and neurotic and being pissed off comes off looking like you're very weird, because it's almost like you're in love with this person. And that's not what a true friendship is. A best friend, you can go 5-6 weeks without talking to them, and you don't mind. You talk to them when you get back to talking to them again, and it's right where you picked up, right where you left off last time. You pick it up right there. You are aligned. You and your friend are super aligned without even thinking about it. It's effortless. Effortless. You guys are just aligned. You get each other. You can read each other's thoughts. You can finish each other's sentences. You don't care how long things go. You're super happy for them. You support them. And that's a good, great friendship. That's a best friend. If not a great friend, it's a best friend. And there's layers to that. You can have your good friends, your great friends, and your best friends. But one thing that you never do in those relationships is that you don't force anything. You may try to, be like, hey, look, I really want to hang out with you this weekend. No, I can't. I can hang out with this person. Okay, no big deal. You value the friendship so much that you're just willing not to screw that up, because you know how rare it is to find a best friend. And you're so aligned, it won't be messed up anyway. You can get in an argument and 2 months later, talk it out, and it's like the relationship's stronger. And that's because you are aligned with this person in so many different ways, and you don't even think about it. You don't even think about how aligned you are with this individual. They are there to support you, and you know that. It makes your life easier. It makes you go out and make decisions because you have someone you can talk to. That's why I always tell people having a coach is so important, because there's someone you can talk to. And that's what we need in life. The people who have really good lifelong best friends are so fortunate. They have really found the pot of gold under the rainbow, because they have someone in their life, no matter what, loves them unconditionally. And no matter how many mistakes they make or the wrong things that they say, this person loves them. And they appreciate that and don't mind doing it because you're doing the same for them. They're getting something out of it. Nobody does something for nothing. They're getting something out of you and you're getting something out of them. It's an equal value exchange. They're invested in you just as much as you're invested in them. So how does this apply to the relationship? And this is where things get interesting, because what I've found is that I used to do things backwards. I would start with, I'm in lust, I'm infatuated, I want to be in love with this person. I start looking at the picket fence, the kids, and marriage. I don't know who this person is. I don't know their values. We're not friends. So I'm literally building it off of just looking at this person and hoping that it works out. I know nothing about the soul that's driving the vessel, the body. I'm just looking at this person and hoping that it works out. Where if you start at the beginning and you have no expectations and you just talk to this individual and you cultivate a relationship off of values and you say, okay, we're not aligned on a couple of values. And there's certain things that you can do to make sure that this happens. And one of them is don't put time restrictions on relationships in any case, or any way, shape, or form. Even when you have a job, just every day, get to know your job a little bit better. And the same applies to your friends. Every day, get to know your friends a little better. Same with your acquaintances. Get to know your acquaintances a little better. If you apply that at the beginning and you say, I'm about to start a new relationship with this person, potentially, the first thing I want to do is understand, what is this person's values and morals? What do they stand on? What's their purpose in life? And you can tell, and it's very simple because you literally can ask them these things. It's not weird or anything. Most people are happy to answer that. If they actually have good morals and self-discipline and self-control and self-love for themselves, they'll answer this without any problem. And they'd be shocked that you asked them that. And the ones who get offended and butthurt about it, guess what? Guess what you saved yourself time doing? Even wasting your time trying to be their friend, and definitely not wasting your time trying to be in a relationship with them. So that process of starting out first, of knowing who this person is paramount. You have to find out what people stand on as far as values. Are they sincere? Are they genuine? Are they trustworthy? That should be the first thing you do in any relationship. Can I trust you? And am I wasting my time? Your time is so valuable in life. Don't waste your time with people who are bullshitting you. And the best way to know when someone's not bullshitting you or not is knowing yourself. Because once you know yourself, intuitively, you will find that it's super easy to find out the people that are bullshit artists and the people that are real. And it takes a long time to develop that, but it's possible. But that leads into the relationship. Once you're into the relationship aspect of it, and you say, okay, this person is a great friend, it should be just as easy a transition from the value, getting to know the person part of them, into the friendship. Then that should be just as easy into the relationship. And one way to avoid making it overcomplicated is putting unrealistic expectations on another individual based on what you want from them, and allowing these people to actually live and grow and feel free in the relationship. You have to love people in a way, regardless if it's a new person you just met, a friend, or a lover. You have to love them in a way where they feel free, yet connected to you. These people are gifts. If you get to a point where you're in love with someone and you've made it past the vetting of how these people live and the morals that they stand on and the foundation of peace and joy and purpose that they have, into the friendship, and you realize this person's always going to have my back. They're there for me all the time. I know they have my back. They know I have their back. And then it moves into another level. It's like, I actually love this person. This person is beautiful. This person is precious. This person is a gift to me. And that person feels the same way about you. Those stages should flow as easily as water. Nothing should be forced in that, because you want to know that the other person is there, super excited to be with you. They're happy to share their time with you. They understand you unconditionally. They love you unconditionally. There's nothing you're going to say or do that's going to make this person abandon you. If you actually hit the other stages first, though. You have to get to the point where this person is there for you as a friend. The labels that we apply to people, we slap boyfriend and girlfriend and spouse and fiance and dating, all these things. And really, none of that shit exists. It's really just us, life, interacting with each other. There are no labels. We put that on ourselves because we want to feel comfortable as human beings. We want to be assured that this person knows and the people around us knows what our connection is with these people. The problem is labels can be mislabeled. They can be misspelled. They can be ripped off. You cannot slap a label on a relationship until it's marriage and you're married and there's a certificate that says you're married. There's your label. And even then, you still have an obligation to keep that person viewing you as a valuable person, and they should be doing the same for you. You take care of you for them, and they'll take care of them for you. Again, value and investment. It's at this point where you realize, do you have an ultimate bond with this person, and are you truly aligned? Because that's the marriage. That's when you say, I don't think I shouldn't say I couldn't live this life without you. I don't want to live this life without you. You are so valuable to me, and I'm so valuable to you, that it doesn't make sense for us not to spend most of our time of our lives together. That doesn't mean we won't have our times apart. That doesn't mean we won't have our disagreements. That doesn't mean we won't get unbalanced and get out of alignment. That won't mean there won't be challenges that will challenge our relationship and our marriage. But I'm willing to go through that with you because I know the values that you stand on first. I know that no matter what, even if the marriage ends, we will always be great best friends. Second, and as long as we both do our parts to make sure I'm doing what I need to do for you and you doing what you need to do for me, it's time. We need to spend the rest of our lives together because we're going to have fun doing it. Fun. Life is about being happy. Happy. Not unnecessary drama. Not making bad decisions. Not continuing to grow as people. Not taking your spouse for granted. It's about you committing to you continuing to work on yourself for the rest of your damn life. And they have to do the same for you. Neither one of you can drop the ball. It's about a connection. It's about understanding and being grateful that you have a gift that another person has decided, I'm going to give my precious time in my life to you. Do not take that lightly. That is one of the most beautiful gifts you can give to any individual is your time, especially time in prolonged relationships. And then not only that, share children together. It is the ultimate sign of respect and love you can give to another person when you willingly enter into a relationship where you're saying, I am choosing in my short life on this earth, because trust me, all of our lives are short. 100 years is not that long. And most of us don't even get anywhere close to that. It's a very short time span. And for you to say, you are so worth it to me and so valuable to me that I am choosing to spend my valuable, valuable time with you. I want to share my memories with you. I want my life to be defined after I'm gone with you being a chapters in my life. It's the most beautiful alignment and bond you can have with another individual. And the people who do not see it that way, and they take the other person for granted in a relationship and think, well, as long as we get to the marriage, okay, now I have them. Wrong, wrong, wrong. If anything, you need to pull it up another level. This person is counting on you to be not only the person that they married, but someone who's going to grow, to have fun, smile, and be happy every single day, to admit when they're wrong, to not hold resentment and jealousy. When things go bad, that you have their back and they have your back. That alignment, that true alignment, is an unexplainable thing. You cannot define it. You just know it when you feel it. That bond is irreversible, And even if things went narrow and you had to split, you realize I can still have a decent conversation with this person. I can still hang out with them. They will always, always be maybe not my best friend, but at least a great friend, because I did the right thing in the beginning and understood the values of this person, and that no matter what happens, at the core of us, we all choose what we want in life. We choose what we want in life. We choose the people. We choose the things and the places. And if you chose this person and they start going awry and they start disappointing you, you have an obligation to yourself to not waste your fucking time with them either. Get rid of them. Jettison them. Because that's not what you signed up for. You didn't sign up to babysit people and take care of them like little babies. You entered the relationship for equal value for value investment with someone who's going to continue to grow and work and understand you and be patient with you in your development. And if that's not the case, somebody has to get jettisoned. And finally, that leads us to unconditional love. And that is the ultimate version of love, where you realize no matter what this person does, I can trust that they would never do anything that would make this relationship be split in half. I trust them so fully and they trust me so fully that this person can have a bad month or a bad year. This person can have ups and downs, and I'm not leaving them. Because I know, because I started from the beginning with the values, we cultivated an incredible, unbreakable bond, aligned friendship, entered into a partnership, and grew that into unconditional love. That's a connection that is so strong that people marvel and wish they had it. It's better than the movies. It's better than the storybooks. It's better than the romance novels. It's something that is something that we all basically started our lives off with. It's just that pure, innocent, surrendering love that you will have for another individual. You surrender in to the fact that this relationship was meant to be. This relationship is not forced. It is a very natural, flowing relationship. And this person has my full trust because I know they're continuing to work on themselves. And so am I. We're invested. We communicate extremely well. Communication is huge. And you can trust that unless something crazy, just catastrophic happens, you're in the best situation you could possibly be in. And there is no better situation for you. And that's the comforting feeling. That's the reward. That's the gift of the other person. And that's where you want to start with when you're valuing someone. You have to not play it all the way through to the end. You don't know all the variables. There's no way you could say at the beginning of meeting someone where it's going to end up. What you need to do at the beginning of the relationship is put your best foot forward and know who you are. So when they ask the tough questions, you have the right answers, and you can do the same for them. That when you get to the friendship phase, you already are valuing this person as a person first, not what they can give to you, but you're just valuing them as an individual. You admire and understand and appreciate this person as an individual, and you're grateful that you're able to even speak to them. And they're speaking to you because, again, you're sharing time. There's no greater gift you can give anyone than your time. And once you two understand that you're so aligned, you move to that partnership phase, and the romance gets in there. You get the extra gift of being intimate with this person, having children with them, and building a life together. And it's a very beautiful thing, but it should be very natural. It should not be forced. And you talk to anyone that has been together for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. It's as natural as water flowing. They will tell you stories about all their ups and their extreme downs. You're going to have bad days. You're never going to be in a relationship and it's great 100% of the time. Bullshit. It won't be. Not even close to that. And that's what makes it even more special, is that you know that there's going to be hardships. You're not worried about it because you know you can get through it with them. One of the favorite quotes that I have is, the tears through hardships the tears of joy, through hardships, the tears of pain I shed today would be the tears of joy I shed tomorrow. Can be applied to these relationships. You got to get through the rocky parts so you can enjoy the parts that are beautiful. Because it won't always be beautiful. It's going to be rocky. But just remember this in closing. Any person you meet has a soul. Any person you meet has their memories, their ambitions, their purpose, their peace, and their joy. They may have their hate and their loathing, their malevolence, and their toxic behaviors and narcissism and full ego. You have to remember that you are in control of you only. And all those traits, no matter how hard you try, won't change these people unless they want to change. You can't change them into a bad person. You can't change them into a good person. They do that for themselves. It's their choice. So your biggest obligation as far as your happiness goes in the relationship status is that you're covering all the bases for yourself. The person that you want to be, you will attract. If you want a great quality partner, friend, person in your life, create that version for yourself first, and you will attract that. If you create a monster out of yourself, you will attract a monster. If you play victim, you'll get somebody who will make you play victim. Patience and understanding is two of the biggest things that I try to put in play in a relationship. Because people have issues and they have family dynamics and work dynamics and health dynamics and all types of things going on. You have to be patient with people. You have to understand and be empathetic and compassionate about what these people are going through. Regardless if you want a relationship or not, and you're stuck in the friend zone, you have a choice to make. Are they worth just being a friend, or they're worth you just walking away from the relationship entirely? You are in control of your own life in your own relationship with yourself. And that's where it really starts. It's the self-love aspect of it. Examine the self-love you have for yourself, the self-control you have for yourself, the self-respect, the self-discipline. Because when you have yourself figured out, it's going to be much easier for you to get through any relationship. You're going to attract people that are like you. You will mirror these people. These people will be the people that motivate you, inspire you to do more. And maybe you get in a relationship with these people and it falls out and you end up just friends with them for the rest of your life. It happens. There's nothing that says that every person that has the potential to be a great relationship, you should be in a relationship with them. Maybe the potential in that person was that it's a great friendship. Maybe this person was only meant to be in your life for a week. No expectations and allowing the relationship to flow naturally is what will lead you towards a future with any relationship with any person that pops into your life. It'll lead you towards a much happier future with these people. Because nothing is forced, nothing's rehearsed, nothing is expected. You get to just be you, and they get to just be themselves. And if no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall.